Awesome introduction. So my first story was published at 11 on a very small scale, so it is a very amazing thing, but it's not like, oh my God, a story was published. It was in a school newspaper, but it was really beautiful. It was published. It was published. And my family was impressed, and that's always a good thing, right? So that's that. I'm very honored to be here. Let me give y'all a little bit of background on the actual Hour of Power. I met Shamara through my workshop. I'm an owner and founder of My Empowerment My Way. And during that workshop, what I do is I share different tools that people can use to assist them to become more connected with their innate divine self. And so Shamara decided, because people, when they're given tools, have a habit of saying, I don't have time for this, I'm so tired, I have 6 children, and I have a husband, and I have to have sex at least 4 times a day, and I'm not stopping that. I'm not like, I support that. However, we kind of do need to fit some other empowerment stuff in it, you know? I mean, sex is very empowering, it can be, but I think we really do need to fit in other stuff. So, Shamara decided she would make an hour of power. So out of her day, she carved out an hour to make sure that she was working on her development, her spiritual empowerment and her development. And so that's where this name comes from. And so I'm very honored to be here in the first one, because I know how much she put into it before she even decided to make it into a concept that she could share with other people. Okay? So what we're going to do, I have a few minutes to speak with you. And what we're going to do is we're going to forget fear, and I would say another F word, this is not my workshop. Okay? So we're going to forget fear momentarily, because I think that sometimes we put too much focus on things that we should not be focusing on. So what's the opposite of fear? Love. Courage? Courage. That's what I thought too, but love sounds good, doesn't it? So that's what we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on courage and love a little bit. Now that you said that, so I'm going to try to tie that in. But I think that we really need to focus on being courageous. And I think that so many times we focus on when we messed up, when we fell short, when we didn't make it, when we disappointed people, when we just were not our best, as opposed to the times when we were amazing, the times when we were just able to shine and we were just blossoming and blooming and all God and goddess-like and creating and making people really feel like I should be that powerful and I should be that person, I should be achieving like they're achieving. I don't think we focus on that enough. So what I want y'all to do is I want y'all to get out your pens and your paper, and I want y'all to write about a paragraph of when you all have been courageous. Any time in your life when you know that you've been courageous. And I also think that sometimes we have these ideas about what courageous means, so we're going to try to shift those a little bit today as well. And Blackberries work, so if you don't have your pen, do it in your phone, however you can make it happen. It doesn't have to be too long, it could be a few sentences. Just something that reminds you of a time when you felt extremely powerful and courageous, and a time when you felt like you could overcome everything, you could conquer the world. Okay, it looks like everybody's coming to a close, wrapping up, which is good. We don't have to share, but I just want you to know that there have been times when you have felt very powerful, very courageous, and you've been able to accomplish things and conquer things. And I think that's something that you need to remind yourself. One of the tools that we work with when we're dealing with, you know, being courageous and reminding ourselves how powerful we are affirmations. I think it's very, very important to start using affirmations. And affirmations are pretty much positive word sounds that you would use to remind yourself and to assist yourself on your path, regardless of what that path is that you've chosen. So you want to make sure that you're putting those things in place. Scientists have said that we may think anywhere between 40,000 to 80,000 thoughts a day, depending on how analytical and overly logical you are. But some of us think so many thoughts, and these thoughts are usually not ours. These thoughts are usually from billboards, or our parents, or our partners, or our children's teachers, or the TV and the media and the radio and the songs that we hear. And you know, there's so many different influences that we have very few of our thoughts are ours. And unless we're actively creating those thoughts, then we're not really sure where they're coming from. And so we have all this negative self-talk going on, and we're all, I'm so scared of this, and I'm so fearful of this, and oh my God, how am I going to accomplish this? We live in a universe of unlimited possibilities. And we have the ability to create anything once we focus on what we really want to create, as opposed to focusing on what is standing in our way. Last night I was having a conversation, I was telling somebody, the blockage is not the blockage. Sometimes we have situations arise in life, and we would think, I don't know how I'm going to finish this, there are blockages in my way, I'm not able to pass this. And the blockage is never the blockage. You're always putting blockages in place. Every blockage is imposed by you. Even if you feel like it's by the government, or it's by your ex-husband, or it's by whoever, Jordan's or Saks, Fifth Avenue, or whoever, you know? You're all like, I have these blockages, but usually the blockage itself is kept in place by the blockages that we're putting in place because of our thought process. And so we have to really question, what are we doing to make this blockage more powerful than it needs to be? And usually, we're being fearful. Usually, we're being scared to step out and take a risk. Usually, we're being in a place where we're afraid of being greater, being more amazing, being better than we were yesterday. We're in a place where we've become accustomed to living mediocre, which is disgusting. And I only now realize how much I curse because I wanted to say something else. But we really have become so accustomed to living in this space where we are not doing enough. We're just doing enough to get by. The other night I read a blog by, I believe her name is Chanel Cooper Sykes, I think. And she was speaking about being married to your future. Being in a place where you're ready to say, I am ready to move forward and fully commit to this situation and be able to say, this is who I want to be. Close your eyes and envision the most amazing you. What do you need to do to become that person? And what are you putting in your way that's stopping you from doing that? Because usually it's whatever fears have been placed in you that may not even have been your own fears that you created, because we don't even think our own thoughts. So those fears are usually not from us. They're usually from the same media and same government corporations and our schools and our parents and our friends and other people who have fears naturally put in place by a system that works and makes money off of those fears. So we're in a system that gets paid for us to be afraid, and we pay them more because we're so afraid, and we think that it's normal to be afraid. We think that it's normal to not be rich. We think that it's normal to be upset and to be unhappy and to be unorgasmic. Hey, gorgeous! And to be unorgasmic, and that's just not who we are. So we have to kind of shift and redefine who we are constantly. How much time I got?
Enough.
So we have to make sure that we're constantly changing the way that we perceive ourselves, okay? Make sure we're constantly changing the way that we perceive ourselves. I think that a lot of times we are more committed to our fears than we are to our future. And I say that because we give our fears so much power. We focus on them and we give them a lot of time of day. We say, I'm scared of this because. We give our fears reasons to be. We give them like they have all these things underneath them. It's almost like we give them like, you know when you get stripes in the police, you know? We give our fears like these uniforms. And we give them like bodies, and we give them names, and we give them reasons to exist, and we feed them, and we house them, and we clothe them, and we give them amazing vagina. I mean, we do all kinds of stuff with our fears. It makes absolutely no sense. Or a really great penis. We give them, you know? But we have to get to a point where we're deciding our fears don't deserve all of that energy. So if we're able to take away the energy that we're putting into what we're afraid of, or what isn't working, or what isn't being paid, or what isn't manifesting, or who's upset because I'm making the money that I'm making, or what businesses are my businesses, what's the word, competition. Someone asked me the other day, who's your competition? Competition, what is that? I'm sorry, I don't know what that means, because like you said, only I can do what I do. There could be a million coaches, but none of them are going to be Ayesha. They would be perfectly them. They would do what they do amazingly well, but you have to know that what you bring to the earth, you've been brought here to bring for a specific reason. So we have to be in a place where we're courageous enough to realize what we came here for. We're courageous enough to live our passion and to be very open to allowing Spirit to come and give us whatever messages we're supposed to be receiving at this time, right? I think that lately, a lot of us have been going through a lot of transitions. I'm not sure if any of you follow astrology, but Mercury was in retrograde, which usually brings a lot of confusion in terms of communication, in terms of your emails being sent or not going through, in terms of your cell phone falling in the toilet and not working anymore. We have all these things popping up, and then we don't know how to connect with each other. We don't know how to communicate to ourselves, not to mention our friends, or our partners, or our children, or our family, or our workmates. And then we're wondering why we're in a state where we're creating such bad karma. And it's usually because of fear. It all stems from fear, which is an illusion. The acronym, false evidence appearing real, is what fear really is. Sometimes we sit down and we create these whole stories, these whole things and fables and tales about what can happen when our fear becomes real. It's not even real yet, but you've already decided. If this fear becomes real, I could lose my house, my car, my man, my child. I could lose everything that I own. But when realistically that is an illusion as well, you don't really own anything, but you're a person. But hey, that's another story altogether. But I mean, we have to get to a point where we recognize we have the ability to be whoever we want to be, to have whatever we want to have, to create whatever we need to be creating in order to be the most amazing people that we are. And we are all divine beings, so obviously we're here for a reason. I want to applaud all of you for investing in yourselves and in your growth and coming to support us at the first Hour of Power Dynamic Diva session, The Fear Factor. And that's all I have for you now.